On April 28th, we had the open beta for Ninjala on the Nintendo Switch. It was interesting. There were obviously a lot of server load issues, but I was lucky enough to get a lot of the games in at the same time. And boy, this game is fun. But there are some problems I'm not sure will be addressed ahead of the game's release. I'd like to take a few minutes to just talk about my first impressions of the game and its mechanics, and what I think could be done to help improve it. The game itself looks pretty good. There are a ton of customization options in this game, even for an open beta. After you select your character model, hair color, and eye color, you can further customize your character's outfit, headgear, weapon, and emotes that are used during the game. This is a lot for an open beta, and we'll likely see much more to come after the game's release. There were a few frame drops here and there, some of which were quite significant, but that's to be expected in a beta release. Performance optimizations generally come last in the development lifecycle, so I'm not too concerned about that. Instead, we'll spend most of this time talking about the mechanics of the game, as these are much less likely to change between now and the end of May. I only got to play one map in the Battle Royales, WNA Academy, but there were actually two maps accessible in the open beta, the other one being Eagle City. You were able to access this extra map through the training room during the open beta. At first glance, it doesn't seem like there's a lot to the combat system. You have your basic attack with ZR, a gum shield with ZL, and a gum attack you can use by launching your gum shield at an opponent with ZR. You also have a Y move and an X special. Your gum attack, Y move, and X special are determined by your main weapon, and it looks like you might be able to customize your kits in the full game. You also have a few extra abilities such as wall running, jumping, gum dashing, which is done by double jumping with a gum shield, and of course your ninja disguise. There's also a parry system, but we'll talk about that a little later. The goal of the Battle Royale mode is to score more points than your opponents. You will start each match with a health bar and a Shinobi Energy bar, also known as S-Energy. During the 4-minute match, your goal is to collect points and increase your S-Energy as you go by defeating drones. Increasing your S-Energy lets you craft a bigger weapon and use more special gum attacks during an engagement. You earn points by collecting orbs, defeating drones, attacking players, getting knockouts, and ippons, which are knockouts using gum attacks and parries. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins, with some bonuses to the players that defeat the most drones and get the most ippons. Seems simple, right? Yeah, it does. Actually, it seems a little too simple. Combat against opponents is rather mindless, and you'll frequently find yourself engaged in a stalemate brought about by the aforementioned parry system. This system is basically a mini rock-paper-scissors mechanic. Pick the correct direction on your analog stick and you'll land an attack. Pick the wrong one and your opponent will land an attack on you instead. If a player knocks someone out using a parry, they get an ippon bonus. And this is where I feel the game sort of fell short during the open beta. It's still early, but I felt like the combat relied too much on this parry system. Because you can get an ippon by getting a parry KO, and because getting the most ippon knockouts in a match gets you a hefty 1,000 points at the end of the round, a lot of your matches ultimately wind up decided by pure luck. Unless you happen to engage the same player multiple times and figure out a pattern to their parry choices, you aren't going to be able to use skill to defeat an opponent head-on. And maybe that's the issue. A lot of players during the beta had a tendency to charge their opponents head-on when they spotted them, myself included. I'm tempted to chalk this up to the WNA Academy map itself, which was very small and relatively open, making it easy to scout opponents and engage them quickly. This ultimately led to a lot of stalemate matches decided by those rock, paper, scissors mechanics, unless you happen to have a charged special you could pull out to ensure your victory. Throughout most of the matches, I didn't see a lot of people utilizing their disguises, using their Y moves to gain a tactical advantage, or even just trying to sneak up on an enemy from behind. When you take away all of these shinobi mechanics, you're left with a sort of dull, luck-based matchup: the parry system. It sort of reminds me of Mario Kart, where you could lead a race the entire game, but one blue shell on the last lap could punch you into third or fourth. To me, that's not fun. It's mindless and annoying that you have so little control over the end result based on these arbitrary mechanics. There's a time and a place for this sort of gameplay, but it certainly does no favors to itself towards any sort of competitive mindset for the game. Obviously, your decisions will still influence results, but to me the open beta didn't do much to try and encourage players to be sneaky ninjas, which seems to be the whole point of the game. So, what can developers do to change this? I think part of the answer actually lies in that second map, Eagle City. I got a chance to explore Eagle City at the end of the final beta slot, and it's actually quite impressive. You have a ton of places to go, including alleys, plazas, even the rooftops, which have these cool little gum rails you can slide around on. Because the map is so much bigger, it's going to be hard to find clumps of players at any given moment. And this is where I think those shinobi mechanics have a better chance to shine. With fewer players around and larger maps with more random objects, it's easier to slip into a disguise and wait to ambush a single person. This gives you the chance to land a strike from behind or even launch an X or Y special at someone completely undetected. This avoids the parry system while still letting you get Ippon bonuses. It's my hope that players will get into the mindset that these sneakier tactics are more useful in single engagements, and will start seeing them used more. But a small map like WNA Academy discourages these tactics. I think it was a mistake using this map for the open beta, and Eagle City would have been a better choice, assuming there aren't any current performance issues with such a large map. I'm not a developer for this game, so maybe they had their reasons. Aside from that, I do have a few wishlist items I'd like to propose. Regarding Ippon bonuses, I'd love to see them removed from the parry mechanic. Let's not reward players for mindlessly engaging in stalemates. Reward them instead for using their ninja abilities. I'd love to see Ippon bonuses for using your Y move instead of your parry move. Second, it might be good to introduce a bonus for using your ninja disguise to ambush people. It could be just an extra couple of points for each ambush you land, or you could make it an end of match bonus like the Ippon and drone bonuses. But anything you can do to encourage this classic shinobi tactic plays much better into the overall theme of the game, in my opinion. Lastly, I would like to see a greater emphasis on defeating drones and achieving a high S energy. To start, increase maximum S energy from 10 to 15. But let's also combine that with some sort of armor or special that can give you a one-time option to break a parry entirely after you hit 15 S energy. You might notice a pattern here by now. With the reduction in mindless parrying for Ippons and an option to simply say, "No, stop this now," if someone does try to attack you without a care, this kind of tweak in the mechanics could encourage people to use their shinobi tactics more and focus on achieving greater buffs throughout the game. Increasing the drone bonus from 500 to 1000 points might also give people that little extra push to focus on the drones and achieving a higher S energy faster. Now, I get it. It's a battle royale, a free-for-all, PvP, but I think the mechanics would be more meaningful and more faithful to its shinobi roots if you were to take a more tactical approach to PvP engagements. These are just my opinions. I want this game to be successful, and I'm looking forward to playing the full release when it comes out in May. What are your thoughts? Would you change anything in the game as we know it? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you want to see more Nintendo-related content like this in the future. Thanks for watching.